Yes, well, you have arrived here on the Caribbean side, which is has beautiful beaches too, and Caribbean is a beautiful sea. But here in Panama, Caribbean is underdeveloped, so to say. We have very little population on the Caribbean side because Caribbean is very humid. Here, of course, being the terminal city of the Panama Canal, we have a very important city, Colón, but this is not necessarily the best part of Panama. Colón, and that's why I started with it. As we go through Colón, you will see some of it. Used to be a pearl in the 30s and 40s of the last century, but it gradually came down, and it is sort of a vicious circle that is active here. Highest unemployment and crime rate of the country here in Colón, and it's not that there's no jobs to be had. We have 3 big ports. We have the duty-free zone of Colón, which is the second largest after Hong Kong, but the people that work here do not wish to live here as well, and the people who live here do not wish to work. That's very much it. So yeah, it's very sad what is happening here, and while the city of Panama, which we won't see today, has made a reverse development after in some parts we had the same happening, that the buildings were run down and not kept up, and now in Panama City everything is being refurbished, remodeled, and here in Colón there's yet something to happen that will initiate such a movement. Colón originally started in 1850 its existence as Aspinwall, the Pacific Steamship Company, whose owner was Aspinwall. He used Colón as a deposit for all the materials needed to build the first transcontinental railroad in the world. Between 1850 and 55 it was built here, and that was during the gold rush in California, and again after its high times during the Spaniards in the 16th, 17th and 18th century. Panama again came out of oblivion and was very important. This glory didn't last long though, because only in 1969 the Americans finished their own transcontinental railroad, leaving Panama again fall into oblivion back. And now Colón has its existence thanks to the duty-free zone. Here some under construction, remodeling the old part of the duty-free zone, which by now has started growing out of Colón. So in fact the duty-free zone itself is much bigger than the city itself, and being a terminal city of the Panama Canal, so Colón is and will always remain very important. The duty-free zone is mainly for wholesalers, no shopping, good shopping opportunities for individuals. So and those few shops that sell to the individual are so expensive that it's much better to go into a mall and do one's shopping there. Apart from the fact that here in Panama, as a foreigner, if you take your passport in some of the department stores, for example, that will exonerate you from the taxes, so that is very much like duty-free shopping. So that's something you can think of next time you come to Panama, maybe with some more time. But today you chose to go and visit Fuerte San Lorenzo, so we'll hopefully, if the weather stays like this, remember we're in the middle of our winter, we consider it winter, the rainy season between mid-April and mid-December. If the sun keeps shining like this, we will be hopefully seeing sloths and howler monkeys, capuchin monkeys, or tamarin monkeys. So keep fingers crossed that it is the jungle, though it is nature, so one cannot guarantee. We have a huge biodiversity here in Panama, the second largest biodiversity after the Amazonian, and this is due to the fact that Panama, when it rose from the seas 2.8 million years ago, it closed the gap between North and South America, and thus serving as a biological corridor, and animals and plants moved from North America to South America and the other way around, leaving in Panama a huge concentration of all kinds of species. That was just a little side info. Let us get back to Colón. We have here the Avenida Central, which used to be 5 or 6 rail tracks, one beside another. The train at that time, when it was finished, literally connecting both oceans, the Atlantic Ocean here with the Pacific Ocean. Colón was planned from the scratch, so we have a chessboard design here with 13 avenues and 16 roads. They are all totally straight. The only curved road is the one going around this little peninsula. The buses that you see driving here, you will see them all over Panama, or mainly in the cities. These are the former school buses from the US and Canada, and once taken out of service there, they're cheaply sold out to Panama, and instead of putting money into the necessary maintenance work, they're rather painted in all kinds of colors. Many of them look very sophisticated, very wonderful, and we call them Diablo Rojo, which means Red Devil. Not as much for their color, but for the manner how they drive. In the city of Panama, you pay 25 cents for a ride in a Diablo Rojo, no matter how long you've been sitting on it. And these 25 cents you pay upon exiting the bus, which is only fair in my opinion, because this way you only had to pay if you also survived the ride. Which is not always the case. There have been some very bad accidents. But however, they will be replaced within the next 2 years. The new government has decided to buy new buses. They are air conditioned, they are they are safer, and hopefully they will be painted all over again, because this is something very nice. Okay, the train has already left. This is the passengers station. There is only 2 stations for the passenger train. The train usually operates from Monday to Friday in the morning from Panama City to Colón, and in the afternoon back. Now for you, your colleagues of the cruise ship, it is also used during the day. But this train is used by people working here in the duty-free zone, mainly for the management employees, because a ride is pretty expensive. One way trip being $22 something. A normal employee who earns around $500 a month cannot afford, of course. Oh, there it is. There it goes. They apparently just left. This is a dome card. From there one has a beautiful view, because they go alongside the canal through the jungle, and you see the trees above you, and in good with some luck you have the howler monkeys stand above you, but it goes like, and then they go. The train only needs 55 minutes for the ride, and there is only these 2 stops, so this guy standing there on the balcony is the mechanic of the train. We have a building coming up here to the left. This is an old building, still from the times when this was the canal zone of the US territory between 1904 and the year 2000. And this was the bakery of the US. They mainly made ice cream and cakes there, and now it is used as the Colón Penitentiary. If you see it from the outside, you'd think twice before committing a crime here and having to see it from the inside as well. Just a nice little accident here. Most of the damages here from accidents are just material damage, but they have to wait until the police arrives, because if they move the car before that, they have no right for
buzzards again.
Redemption.
Penitentiary.
Insurance, yeah. Well, they won't get anything for it, because the one moved from the side is considered guilty. Okay, here the old bakery, now the Colón Penitentiary. It was supposed to be just an intermediate solution, and right now the main penitentiary of Panama is in the process of being enlarged and remodeled, and then this will probably, these inmates will move there, and it will be taken down. Crime has risen here in Panama. In general, Panama is a safe place, and
Mount Hope, 1908.
but crime exists, unfortunately, like everywhere in the world, and mainly this is due to drug trafficking. But we don't have a real drug problem ourselves. Panama is a transit place for all kinds of goods, unfortunately also for drugs. So it is a trafficking through Panama that leads to crime, and the crimes connected to it, like what we have seen lately were sort of executions among the gang. So the danger is not as much for you and for me, but to be in the wrong gang. So, this was Mount Hope. Mount Hope is a natural elevation that we had in this, or have in this area, while everything else was mainly swampy area. And here on Mount Hope, during the train construction, they had a hospital, and now it's a cemetery. Right here we have the water tanks. There's a water plant that purifies the water as drinking water for the city of Colón. Our drinking water comes from Lake Gatun, which is also part of the trajectory of the Panama Canal. I will explain the canal now to you as it works. The Americans dammed the very violent river Chagres close to its mouth. The Americans dammed the very violent river Chagres close to its mouth here on the Caribbean, thus creating Lake Gatun. Lake Gatun, at a height of 26 meters above sea level, 84 feet above sea level, carries ships already above a bigger part of the continental divide. So they only had to cut through the highest elevation, which now is known as the Corte Culebra, or Gaillard Cut, in honor of the engineer that was in charge of this excavation. But now we need locks. We need 3 lock steps at each side to elevate ships from one ocean onto the lake and to lower them on the other side. These locks, we have them all 3, one behind another here on the Atlantic side, while on the Pacific side the American geologists decided to separate them because in Miraflores 2 tectonic plates come together, and they thought if there is an earthquake here in Panama, the entire lake would spill out, but it took 5 years in the first place to have it filled up.
Herons and little herons.
So, but I can tell you that we Panamanians consider that God was born here. He might be living elsewhere now, but he was born here because we are very fortunate. We have no active volcanoes, we have no earthquakes, unlike our neighbors, Costa Rica and Colombia. And although we have a big coastline on the Caribbean, there is no hurricanes arriving here. Of course, we have 2 neighborhoods here, El Alhambra and El